Welcome to our community. Susie Thomas here with you this morning, visiting with Darren Nisley. He is the Executive Director of Lighthouse Ministries. Good morning.
Good morning.
And you've been there since the very start.
Since the beginning, that's right.
So tell us a little bit about Lighthouse Ministries, how it began, when it began, and why it began.
Sure. Well, the Lighthouse is located in the southeast part of Canton. It's about a half block east of Hartford Middle School, if you're familiar with that part of town. It really began out of our congregation. I go to First Mennonite Church, so there's a Mennonite church in Canton. But out of that congregation's work in the neighborhood with elementary students, they had a program called Venture Club. And we have a time at church where we share needs and prayer concerns. And for a period of 2 or 3 months, there was this consistent theme of people from the congregation talking about, a child that used to be a member of Venture Club, but that had now gotten in trouble with the law, or they saw them walking around with perhaps a gang member, or something like that. And so the question always ended, boy, I wonder whatever happened to them. And so there started this conversation at our church of, we need to do something more in the community. And so we had this old block building that we were just using for storage. It was basically filled with junk. And so we, a couple of us approached the congregation and said, hey, we want to turn this into a youth-friendly place and maybe provide some junior high programming. And so things just built from there. And so area churches got involved, and we remodeled the building, created this youth-friendly place. And in 1996, we started with 6 junior high students, 2 volunteer staff, and a budget of, I think, $1,400 for the year. And that's how the Lighthouse got its going.
Wow. Yeah. I'm interested in the fact that it's sort of are you connected with Canton City Schools in any way? You're talking about Hartford Middle School and all these areas. What is the response of the schools? And what's the relationship between the ministry and the schools?
It's actually very good. We've been involved at varying levels with the students. Just about all of the students that we work with are Canton City School students, and our programming has been in the schools, not in the schools. It's been a relationship that has, grown and developed over those 20 years, but we have a really good relationship. We even have school administrators on our board.
Love seeing that.
Yeah.
There's got to be a partnership there, doesn't there?
Absolutely. It's really the village mentality. As the Lighthouse, even though we're very involved in the lives of a number of students, a number of families, we say we don't wear any sort of Superman cape. We are a part of the solution, working with parents, working with schools, working with other entities in the community. We're just all working, just trying to help kids.
Well, take us inside. What happens on a typical day, if there is one, at Lighthouse Ministries, the kinds of programs that the kids get to take part in?
Sure. We our after-school program is the largest program, and so that runs 4 days a week, runs at our building. It's currently, we just started up again in our own building. So, we have been in the schools for 8+ years. So we have 20 students enrolled in that, and, they come 4 days a week. So that runs from 2:15 until 5:30, every Monday through Thursday after school.
That's incredible. All right. So is it boys and girls?
Correct.
And the kinds of things that they're doing? Is there homework assistance, physical activity?
So the Lighthouse's mission is really to support families by walking alongside the youth in our community, by providing safe, high quality and holistic opportunities that will assist kids in understanding their God-given giftedness and their potential for impacting the world. So when you look at our after-school program, it encapsulates all of that. So when we help a child with homework, we talk to them about helping them develop the skills that they need so that they can use their gifts to be a blessing to the world. So, when the students walk in for after school, the first thing they do is they get a snack, then they have some recreation, then we do praise and worship, then we go into academics. And so there's an hour of academics every single day. Then after academics, we have what we call enrichment time. And that is where we try and expose the students to as many different giftings, I guess.
Wow.
So, we have a vocational awareness program where we bring in speakers to talk about their vocations, and the kids get to interview them, talk about how much money do you make, and, what are the pros and cons of your job, and when do you have to work, and how much education do you need, and then they get to journal, they get to record the interview, and then they journal about whether or not that's a job that fits them. We also have a business builders club where we have our 4th and 5th graders. They actually start their own small businesses. So we have a group of students starting doing a lemonade stand project. We have another student who's doing they're going to sell muffins that they're making themselves with their mother, and another student is developing. They're making snap bracelets out of measuring tapes, and then wrapping them in colored duct tape, and they look beautiful.
That's brilliant.
And other kinds of bracelets as well.
Yeah.
So actually, today and tomorrow, those students will be presenting their business plans to some of our board members, and the Lighthouse will then offer them a loan to get their businesses started.
That is fantastic.
And that moves forward. So, those are the types of opportunities. We look at every child really as, we need to communicate to the children that God has blessed you with these amazing gifts. We're going to help you unpack your giftedness. Okay. That's parents are already doing that. Schools are already trying to do that, but we just want to be another voice that says, we see these gifts in you. Why don't you, let's mess around with these Connects education kits, because who knows, you might be an engineer or you might be a scientist. So we have an outdoor classroom that has, bees and chickens, and it has, worms for composting, and has fish in it. And that is the science classroom for our programming. And so the kids get exposed to that thing. They fall in love with those different areas.
Yeah.
And so we just tap into that, and we say, you know what, you're gifted in that. You should really consider that as a career and as a way of being a blessing to the world around you.
What do you see the response in the children? Because there is another message in Southeast Canton that this is the way of life. This has been our way of life for generations. There's a poverty that goes beyond financial poverty. There is just a sapping of the spirit.
Sure.
And to be able to be told that the sky's the limit, go for it, might be a very different message. What is their response?
Well, kids are kids, and kids love to dream. And they want to grab a hold of, everybody wants to have hope in something, right? So kids love to dream, and they want to become, and so we're just fostering that. Yeah, is there another message? Absolutely. Are there gangs? Are there drugs? Is there violence? Yes. Do many of our kids come through life with a very sort of narrow view of what the world may hold for them? Sure. We just want to blow that right up.
Yeah.
And we just want to say there's so much more that's available to you.
So you're putting things on their radar that may not have been there before, college and so forth. That take me back now. You've been in existence for 20 years, and congratulations for that.
Thank you.
You've gotten to see some young ones grow up into adults, so there's got to be some good stories.
Sure. Yeah, we have, students who have come through, who have graduated nursing from the University of Cincinnati.
Awesome.
We have another student now that's doing their MBA in Indiana. I can't remember the school right now exactly. But another, I hesitate to use names. I don't want to.
That's okay. All right. We'll call him, yes.
My neighbor, I'll just say Markeisha, just to keep it anonymous. But, my neighbor growing up, great child, great parents. But, she was always someone who loved coming to Lighthouse activities, loved coming to the high school youth group, just loved doing those things. She's now a teacher at Heritage Christian.
Oh,
and
wow.
Just has a wonderful family. And she is truly being a blessing to the kids that she works with every single day.
Talk about paying it forward. Do you see some of these young people who've gone through the program, now adults coming back to volunteer and continue it on with this new group, new crop of young people?
Yeah, we have had students who have come through the program who come back and, who come back to volunteer, yes. Like right now in the after-school program, we have 2 high schoolers who are coming every day, or pretty much every day,
Wow.
volunteering with the program. They have some siblings that are in the program, so that's part of what's happening. But we've also have students who graduate and they want to come back and even work for us in the after-school program. So those are always special moments when those types of things can happen.
So very cool. We're talking with Darren Nisley. He is the executive director of Lighthouse Ministries. Tell me about the kids
Sure.
that you get to interact with every day.
They are just a blast. We have a lot of service learning teams that come to the Lighthouse, and so they spend a week with us, and we just remind them coming in. They're getting to meet these kids who come from completely different backgrounds, but they're just kids, and they are just so beautiful, and they have so much even to teach us about life. Sometimes we can get caught up in trying to help people with things, and you sort of maybe underestimate what they have to offer. And that is one of the things that the Lighthouse works very hard at, is just appreciating the value and dignifying and respecting the kids that we work with. But, just seeing the kids hop off the bus with those bright faces, and they come in and they, give a hug to the staff, and they're just so happy to be there at the program, just so full of life. And then we have some kids that come who are really struggling with things socially at school, and or maybe they even have some maybe learning disabilities, and school is a struggle. School isn't necessarily that fun place because it is so hard, but we strive so hard to make the Lighthouse a very safe place for kids to come, so that when they hop off that bus, when they walk into our program, they can okay, the slate is clean, I'm starting over, it's going to be a great day.
Mm-hmm. You have the unique perspective of being with it the entire time that it's been in existence, all 20 years. Do you see any difference in what children must deal with today as opposed to what they had to deal with 20 years ago? Do you see that improving or not?
Yeah. Well, in our neighborhood, I would actually say some of, the gang activity has actually redued.
Awesome.
And so that has been great to see.
Do you attribute Lighthouse to part of that?
You know what? I
You'd love
can't
to.
say that. I would love to. But I think there is something to the fact that, the mobility rates in our neighborhood are extremely high. Okay, so if you look at Allen and Belden schools, I think the mobility rate is around 40%, and so that means if you lined up all the kids that walk through the doors in a given year, 40% of those students would have moved in or moved out during the year. So that's really hard for teachers and everyone to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have that type of percentage in our programs.
Interesting.
And that is either because when students enroll in Lighthouse programming, parents then choose to stay or work hard at staying. And we have had some parents say, we just we just moved to a new place, and we intentionally moved closer to the Lighthouse because we want our kids involved in these programs.
Wow.
Or it's that parents who are a little bit more stable and who are committed to staying are looking for things like the Lighthouse for their kids to be a part of. So I think it's both of those things.
Doing some amazing things. Darren Nisley with Lighthouse Ministries. We're going to take a little short break. We'll be back after these words. You're listening to Our Community.